what should I play on this? Like, what do you think the drums should be like? And he's like, I'm gonna sing you exactly what I think the drums should sound like. And he just goes. And then I was just like, okay, I'm getting booted off this track.
Hey, this is Inhaler, and this is our track-by-track listing of It Won't Always Be Like This on NME. It Won't Always Be Like This. How do we start with that one? That was...
In a kitchen.
Yeah, in a kitchen in one of our houses. I think it was one of the first songs we wrote. It's funny, like, I think we spent a while kind of trying to get it there, but really the best test for writing we had was just playing gigs. And it kind of formed live. And I think maybe that's why we wanted to open the record with it, was it just felt like a really good live track. And whenever we play it live, we always open with it. So it's just important to kind of have it at the forefront. And yeah, it's been with us for a long time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our child. And now we're sending him off to college. So yeah, it was probably the oldest track on the record, yeah. We revisited it just because I think we wanted to give it a bit of a facelift and make it sound like it does now live, you know. I mean, we recorded it when we were 18. My voice has changed. Ryan's hair has changed. You know, like, I think we just wanted to update it and make it sound like the rest of the record and have it all feel real sonically one thing.
Also, it's like what you said about us trying it out live for so many years. You know, we watched it grow, and we saw the impact that it was having as an opening track, and seeing how people were responding to it as well. And you know, as Rob said earlier, I think we ended up preferring how the live version was sounding than the original recording, and you know, the title of it and everything. You know, we wanted to make sure that it sounded, I suppose, suitable to what the title suggests, I think, which is, you know, I think something...
Full force,
you know, euphoric and positive, I suppose.
My Honest Face, maybe, I think it was 2018, was it?
That was probably one of the quickest songs on the record. But like, in terms of the writing process, it was finished fairly quickly. You know, we started, I suppose, writing that in like December of 2018, and then it was recorded and mixed and mastered in January. And yeah, that song is, I think we wanted to open the record with the first two songs that people really started to recognize us for or get to know us with. And, you know, Honest Face was a song that took off very early on, like, or gained massive traction.
Just as we started touring.
Yeah, beyond any of our expectations as well.
Yeah, and it's a song just kind of, around that time we were just starting to tour and starting to like get up on stage, and it's just a song about, I guess, finding your feet and figuring out what kind of persona you wanted to adopt when you go on stage and what you want to say to people. So it was kind of a pretty formative song for us in that regard. It's always a great one to play live. Always play it right at the end. Slide Out the Window is probably one of my favorite tracks on the album, just because it's got a kind of rhythm that we haven't done before, and it's a lot more mid-tempo and slower. And that's probably a lot to do with just how we were feeling at the time. We were just sitting in our rooms.
We were feeling very mid-tempo.
Yeah, and so I think we just pushed ourselves musically with that one. It's a space that we haven't been in before, and I think having it third on the record is nice, because it's a real big change of pace to the first two songs.
Wanted to introduce people to new songs that we had written quickly enough, you know. I think the first two really grasped people's attention, and then when that song comes in, it's like that was one of the first lockdown songs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you said, it was a side of us that we've never really shown before, or we've never even played that song live to anyone. Which is what we used to do for years and years to really test whether a song was any use or not. So I suppose that was one of the first lockdown songs that we really like trusted our gut instincts on that we thought was a great song.
For me, I think that song really encapsulates just the feeling of lockdown, just staring out your window and kind of hoping that you're someplace else, or dreaming about other places, you know. So that was kind of the first kind of lockdown-y tune we wrote. Cheer Up Baby. That one is also really old. Yeah, I think it was the same time as Won't Always Be Like This. We've played it, someone tracked this down, we've played it at every gig we've ever done as a band. And so it's kind of grown up with us as well. And it was a song that our fans really latched onto, maybe because it's a good song to sing along to. And they started making Instagram pages called like Please Release Cheer Up Baby and stuff. So it was nice to be able to put that out at the end of lockdown, because I think it was a good connection between us and our fans that we haven't had in a while, and they really wanted that song. And
I didn't know we had come out of lockdown.
we're coming out of it. You know, the end of the slope. You know?
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, I think there was definitely a point where we were kind of saying, cheer up, baby. Is it a bit on the nose, you know? But I think it just speaks for itself, and I think it is an uplifting song, and people need that. Yeah.
I think it made a lot of people really happy, let alone making ourselves happy when that song came out. Because as you said, you know, we have had fans asking us for that song for years and years and years. You know, anytime we've put out a song, that there'd always be a comment somewhere being like, "This is great, but where's Cheer Up Baby?" You know, we felt a lot of validation getting that out in the world, and you know, the response to this day, you know, people still love that song as much as we do, and it's going to be a treat when we can play that live again and see how many new people who have become our fans during the pandemic, how they respond to it as well.
I think we did about like 10 different versions of it over the years, and you know, tried to take it different directions sonically and lyrically, but it ultimately just ended up with something that felt really close to what the original was, which I think in a lot of cases is the best thing to do.
Another old one.
They're all kind of old, aren't they? They feel old now, but
time's not a concept to me anymore.
Yeah, that one was kind of first time we did something a bit kind of psychedelic and trippy, and I think we had a demo of it that we were playing live for a couple of years, and then we went into the studio. Our producer Anthony Genn did this really great arrangement on the intro, and that's what he's really great at. He just wrote a ballet. He works with hip hop artists. He used to work with Joe Strummer. You know, he's got a really wide array of experience, and I think he's done some great production on that one. Yeah, I think it's a song about like kind of channel hopping, and just, you know, when you're just scrolling through your phone and everything just seems so negative. I think that was a lot of lockdown for people. It's just hard to get away from because you're kind of addicted to your phone as well.
First, somewhat politically based lyrics as well.
Yeah,
I suppose touches upon that.
Yeah, I think it's more just observational than like pointing the finger, you know.
She says I've got no love.
Another fan favorite that people, for whatever reason, absolutely adore that song. You know, it's probably my favorite on the album, I think, or certainly in my top 2. Yeah, that song, what was it? We started that in, I think it was like March 2019. It was recent enough, I suppose. And I think we've played it at every gig since then.
It's got that lyric in it.
Yeah.
And
I'll let you touch upon
yeah,
that.
it's got that lyric in it, and I think for a lot of people, it definitely kind of makes you go, "Ooh, that was a little strange." And the song is kind of inspired by people our age who maybe get taken into, or just find themselves in extremist kind of groups online and stuff like that. And I think it's funny, like a lot of people these days feel like they have the absolute truth and that they know everything and that the other person's 100% wrong. And I think that's what the song kind of touches on. But yeah, that lyric, we always get asked about that. But I think every time we play it, the fans sing it at the top of their lungs. So it was important for us to have that in there.
I think they get it.
Yeah.
You know, and even if they don't,
Doesn't matter.
it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
that was one of the first lockdown songs, When It Breaks. That was Josh came to us one day with the demo of it. I think the original title of it on his Logic was like Jiggy or something. I can't remember what it was called, but it was fairly similar to the final version of the song. So you had the guitar hook and the drums pretty much down on there, and that song was immediately it kind of grasped us and also our producer, and we thought to ourselves, okay, we got to get into the studio, we got to act on this one immediately, because I think, as we were talking about, there was a lot of feeling of mid-tempo songs being written at the time, but I think that was kind of a contrast with sort of like the anger and aggression that a lot of people were feeling at the time, and lyrically it also observes on that as well.
Yeah, I think it was the first time where we were kind of like, we should start talking about the world around us rather than what's going on inside our heads. Because it was last summer, it was the BLM protests happening, and there's those wildfires going on in America, and we were right in the middle of this pandemic, and it just was a really uncertain time, and I think we were just trying to imagine what the world would look like after. It was quite strokesy actually before we got into the studio, and we really just kind of dirtied it up and put some distortion on it, and yeah, tried to make it a bit of like a...
Just gave the Strokes some steroids,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Who's gonna keep you alive?
That was the song that took the longest amount of time on the record. It was originally just us playing in a room, a recording of us kind of just jamming out the idea. About a year later, we were kind of looking for songs. We were like, is there any more songs that we can fit onto the record? Is there any? And our producer was like, oh yeah, we've got this jam that you did, I think is really good, and you have this other song, this Plastic House, which I think could fit into it. And so we kind of messed around with those two ideas for a while, and our producer cut up all the instruments in the recording and put them on like a sampler piano, and we kind of played all the bass and the drums like that. So the drums were like da-da-da-da, the bass was like ding ding ding,
Zip-up-bap.
yeah, all that kind of stuff. And it kind of just gave it a really like jittery, static feel, and it was a way we've never written a song before, but in that way it was so rewarding when we finished it, because it felt like we'd really achieved something great, and we're really proud of that song. I mean, people say it's their favorite song of ours, and I don't
And we
blame
kind
them.
of just dropped it out of nowhere. We were sort of just like, we have this new song coming out in 6 hours that no one's ever heard of. Normally you like announce it like a week or two before or something, I don't know.
A bit nervous putting out like a 7-minute song,
Yeah.
but I think people really enjoyed that, and I think it's just going to be a belter live. All the songs on the record are designed to feel great live, but I think that one especially, when we play it in the room, there's a really nice feeling.
I think also collectively as a band, it's like one of our favorites, because lyrically it's something that means a lot to the four of us. It kind of goes back to the time that we were in at the minute, and the headspace that all of us were at when we were recording the album. And I think it was the last song to get finished.
Yeah.
And so it was like at the very end of a reasonably long drawn out process. It was like,
We were all so tired and sick of each other. And
yeah. But by the end of it, it was sort of, I don't know, it was kind of like a almost perfect resolution
Yeah.
to the whole experience.
Yeah.
Tell me why does it hurt me so much?
So Totally was a demo that we had written in October of 2019. And the lyrics weren't in it or anything. It was just that dun 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 on the piano, and then a little bit of like swingy drums. And Rob actually came back and was like, I think this song could be really good on the record, and we worked on it. Again, like another kind of rhythm that we haven't done before. It's a little bit more mid-tempo, but it's still a kind of anthemic-y pop song. And it was just a nice experience to be able to play that kind of style.
To finally be able to learn it as well.
Yeah,
it was
took us a
difficult
while.
for me now.
We kind of ended up writing music that we weren't really able to play at the time, because we were in lockdown and we were all doing it on computers, and we weren't able to jam together. So that's why this song has kind of a swingy beat, and like the vocals are really hard to sing live and stuff like that. So
It was one of the first songs that we were trying to write over Zoom, which
Yeah.
is incredibly awkward.
if you've ever tried to do that, don't do it.
Because Zoom's an awkward thing on its own, isn't it? It's like there's always that delay between people or something. So when there's a delay, in a piece of music you're trying to write, it just doesn't sound right, and you just think, what you're doing doesn't sound good, man.
You can't play along to each other.
No,
You know,
you can't.
so-
I don't know how. I've seen a few people do it. I don't know how they've managed it, but you know, again, in the end, when we actually brought it to the studio, and our producer and sound engineers were able to like just pump some life into it, it was one that we all became really passionate about early on in the actual process of finishing the album. And yeah, I can't wait to see what people's feedback is like for that song.
I think it was maybe the first new song on the album that straight away when we started doing it, we were like, yeah, we're fans of this one. You know, it was just like, it just kind of happened naturally.
Well, Strange Time to Be Alive, the vocal in that was actually taken from a demo of a song that Rob was writing and working on at the moment. And that vocal that he's singing in that song was actually the chorus of that demo. And our producer was very keen on using that, but he sort of thought to himself, let's just make that a moment on the album. Let's make it an interlude right before it goes into this crazy, brash, loud sounding song at the end. It was kind of a break from the rest of the album. You know, we were really into certain ambient music and stuff, and so we were very interested to see like what we could make out of that. You know, I remember asking, and what should I play on this? Like, what do you think the drums should be like? And he's like, I'm gonna sing you exactly what I think the drums should sound like. And he just goes, and then I was just like, okay, I'm getting booted off this track.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to be able to do something without Ryan. I'm joking.
I was in the room filming you do it.
No, we all sang on it and everything, you know, like, so I think it was nice to be able to have that title, but just leave it there and not say anything else and just have that be the one line. Yeah, we love that one. It's right before the end, and you kind of get a nice little relaxing moment before you go into the outro. So yeah, we love that one.
In My Sleep was the first song that we actually probably wrote together as a band.
When we came together.
When we came together first after the lockdown. You know, we had been touring so much, and then we came home. We were supposed to have 1 week off, and then lockdown happened. We were like, oh great, we'll have 3 weeks off, and then that 3 weeks has now extended to 1.5 years. But after about 3 or 4 months, we ended up being fortunate enough to actually go to London, go to the studio and start recording. And we had this week-long period where we just spent that time just playing together, trying to get tight again. And then we started to like jam out ideas when we started to get confident enough. And In My Sleep was a song that we started to jam out together. And it was the first time in years that we'd probably written a song by just jamming it straight up. We came up with the structure and everything. Lyrics came later. And vocal parts and stuff, but we worked out all of our actual instrumental parts on this one day. And our producer came in, he heard it, he was like, let's record that immediately.
Josh had written out the change at the end was kind of the thing that really grasped up. It was a little demo, but that change at the end was what we really gravitated towards, and the whole song builds towards that moment. That was a great move from him, because we all jumped on it and loved it. And you know, it is quite like heavy rock, like 70s kind of Thin Lizzy thing. You know, we love like all those bands, and I think we wanted to pay homage to it at the end. And there's also some Irish uilleann pipes in there and stuff. It feels like for us, it's like coming home on the bus, driving into the port, going home. You know, it's nice. Obviously, we're Irish, so we love it. But I think when you've been away from it for a while, it means that much more to you. Yeah. So we just kind of wanted that to be our coming off tour song.